Hey, Local 5, it's Dave. Just wanted to give you an update on our event that we had today for our campaign kickoff for the signature gathering effort for our collective bargaining agreement that we're going to put on the municipal ballot next April. So I know that it was short notice, and throughout this whole thing, I'm going to try to be as politically correct and as nice as I possibly can. For those of you that know me, I'm a bit frustrated, so you know how tough that can be. We planned, and I get it, short notice, an event that was going to be significant to help us launch an effort for us to be successful as far as our CBA goes. A lot of even time, energy, and effort went into this today, and we ended up with about 20 people and 13 signatures. Sad part was that 9th District Vice President Ray Ronnie came down from Denver, so drove all the way from Denver, fought the Air Force Academy football traffic, came down here, was really expecting to see a launch and a takeoff for what was supposed to be an incredibly important initiative for our members. And we had about 20 people show up and 13 signatures. He's going to report back to the General President at the International Executive Board this month. And I'm sure that the word or the news about Local 5's involvement, or seems to be motivation as far as their campaign moving forward, is probably not going to be very encouraging. It's a little frustrating on my part that I sat across from the General President and told him that we had an incredible group of people who were definitely driven to make sure that they were successful because of the fact that public safety, especially the fire department, has been neglected for so long, and they truly wanted a voice and representation at the table. And then I knew that we could get our folks out and to be able to carry the initiative forward, get through the process, and to be successful all the way through the end. 13 signatures, about 20 people showed up. So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like. We've committed $250,000, and pretty much we've spent a significant amount of that just getting to this point. The signature gathering responsibility of our part was to offset a significant amount of cash that we didn't want to commit so that we can make sure that we had sufficient funds moving forward for the campaign. Our responsibility is still there. We undertook that knowing that to make this successful, we would make a short-term commitment of our membership to get out. And as like today, we simply just needed you to show up, bring a spouse, a friend or two, sign some papers, get your name on a petition. We got 13. I can tell you that the 9th District Vice President wasn't too impressed. We need the state's money and we need the international's money to make this thing go forward. We've gotten to the point with a lot of time, energy, and effort by a lot of incredible people to get us to this point successfully. And it's very, very expensive to get us to this point. But we can't move forward if we don't make the commitment and fulfill the commitment that we have as far as gathering the signatures are going to be necessary for us to get this thing on the ballot. Because then it's a moot point. And like I said, if every member within our department brought down a spouse, a relative, a couple family member, or a couple neighbors or whatever besides family members, there were City of Colorado Springs voters, we'd be done. It'd be over. We'd be successful. We'd be ready to move on to the next phase of this. We could hang out, enjoy the weekend, or the holidays, and not have any worries until after the first of the year when the next cry came out, battle cry came out for us to get motivated. We made that call. We were hoping that we would get a response. We got 13 signatures. I'm not sure if it's because we just had an announcement of an adjustment to the consideration for public safety and a comps adjustment this year that we haven't had for 3 years. Maybe everybody thinks that it's going to return or be normal again. I can personally tell you that at the beginning of this year, and even as soon or recent as halfway through, the numbers that you saw are nowhere near what was expected to be provided for this year. The only reason there was an adjustment this year was because there's a collective bargaining agreement hanging over the mayor's head. It's the only reason that the numbers moved significantly as they have. And by the way, we're still not to market. We still fallen short. And if you think that there was some lifting by the administration that actually helped drive this, I can tell you personally and factually that the numbers were as skewed by this administration as they were adjusted or helped. They're moved in the right direction. The only thing that you've seen as far as compensation adjustment was because there was a collective bargaining hanging over the mayor's head. If it isn't successful, what do you think the chances are for future consideration for those comps? And by the way, We still don't have money for fire trucks. We still don't have money for staffing. We just got a GIS study back from the International Association of Firefighters. 45.5% of the time is the amount that we actually make national standards for fire responses within this community. That means your family's safety and your safety while you're at work are incredibly jeopardized because this administration, this city fails to recognize the importance of public safety and putting the equipment in our hands, the technology in our hands, the number of staff members in our hands to allow us to do our job safely, efficiently, and effectively. 13 signatures. I'm not quite sure what it is that we need to do. I don't have any flowery words or motivational speeches that I can draw out to somehow motivate our people to come out and participate in these events. I know that it was short-term and short notice. It was because we had an incredible number or an incredible amount of work and hurdles to adjust, that all of the people that are working diligently behind the scenes for the last 18 months that have made a commitment of basically all of their time off to make sure something was successful finally got the notice out, and we have a 90-day time frame to get signatures done, and this was as quick as we could possibly get it out and get it done and hopefully get this kickoff and this campaign moved in the right direction, and we got 13 signatures. This is your future. I got to tell you, all of you young ones who are on this job that are planning to stay in Colorado Springs and make this your job for the rest of your lives, your families live here, and you didn't show up today, man, that's craziness. I'm done with. I'm the old guy. I'm already technically retired. I've dropped. This has no bearing on me, period. Even this adjustment for this year, nice for the year, has no long-term benefit. I get nothing out of this. My frustration comes in the fact that year in and year out, we've seen political players being supported by power brokers within the city to make everything else a priority within the city except for public safety. We've seen explosive growth throughout this city within the last couple of years. The people that are necessary to take care of all that, consideration for them, moot. Nothing. Again, a one-time shot because of the fact that they knew that they had a collective bargaining agreement hanging over their head. But if we don't carry this thing across the finish line, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be back to business as usual. And once again, we will be an afterthought as opposed to a priority. And the fundamental role of government is to make sure that public safety is definitely a priority. And we're not a priority. And the only reason we have been this year is because of the fact this collective bargaining agreement is in place or potentially going to be in place. If we don't carry this thing across the finish line, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back exactly where we've been before this happened. I'm not going to drive myself or my executive board, who have already made an incredible commitment of time, energy, and effort into the ground, along with 10 or 11 other members who are committed to seeing this thing be successful, if we can't get the rest of our membership to simply come out and sign signatures on petitions at an event that we made adjustment. We cleaned the place up. We made the Union Hall nice and pretty. We had some snacks for you. Just could have swung by, signed some paperwork. We got 13 signatures. We will shortly be announcing a couple more upcoming events. We'll definitely make sure that we're not on the same shift, so that way every shift has an opportunity to make sure that they can come out. I'm not sure what it is that I need to say or what our executive board members need to do as far as continuing to work as hard as they have to try to make sure that we're successful in this. But we're going to need to make the calls and those events, and I'm optimistic that we can turn this thing around. I'm hopeful that we've got somebody out there that's truly committed to understanding that the things that have recently happened and the encouragement that they've brought will not necessitate the long-term commitment by a city who has had a tendency to quickly forget who it is that actually makes sure that this city is safely taken care of. So we'll make that call, and we're hoping that your participation in those events will definitely come to play, and that somehow we can turn this thing around. We can convince our members that are supporting us financially that we are in fact dedicated and capable of making sure that we're going to be able to carry this thing across the finish line, and that you make a commitment to understand that there's a short duration of activity and involvement that will need to be made for us to have an opportunity to have a voice at the table for the remainder of your careers and truly make sure that the men and women of the City of Colorado Springs Fire Department are truly, truly put in a priority of consideration. I thank you for your time. My apologies for my rambling. I'm a little bit more than passionate on this and a little bit more than frustrated because I know that in fact we can do far better than this. Thank you.